Less active at work, Americans have packed on pounds. So are we Indians. Looking beyond poor eating habits and a couch potato lifestyle, a group of researchers have found a new culprit in the obesity epidemic: the American workplace. A sweeping review of shifts in labor force since 1960 suggests that a sizable portion of the national weight gain can be explained by declining physical activity during the workday. Jobs requiring modest physical activity, which accounted for 50% of the labor market in 1960, have plummeted to just 20%. The remaining 80% of the jobs, the researchers report, are sedentary or require only light activity. The shift translates to an average decline of about 120 to 140 calories a day in physical activity, closely matching the nation's steady weight gain over the past 5 decades, according to a report published Wednesday in the journal PLOS One. Today, an estimated 1 in 3 Americans are obese. Researchers caution that the workplace physical activity most likely accounts for one piece of the obesity puzzle, and that diet, lifestyle, and genetics all play an important role. But the new emphasis on declining workplace activity also represents a major shift in thinking, and it suggests that healthcare professionals and others on the front lines against obesity, who for years have focused primarily on eating habits and physical activity at home and during leisure time, have missed a key contributor to America's weight problem. The finding also put pressure on employees to step up workplace health initiatives and pay more attention to physical activity at work. If we are going to try to get to the root of what's causing the obesity epidemic, work-related physical activity needs to be in the discussion, said Dr. Timothy S. Church, a noted exercise researcher at the Pennington Biomedical Research Center in Baton Rouge, and the study's lead author. There are a lot of people who say it's all about food, but the work environment has changed so much, we have to rethink how we are going to attack this problem. The report shows that in 1960, 1 out of 2 Americans had a job that was physically active. Now it is estimated that only 1 in 5 Americans achieves a relatively high level of physical activity at work. Dr. Church notes that because of the research doesn't factor in technological changes like increasing reliance on the internet and email, many people in service and desk jobs that have always involved in only light activity are now moving less than ever, meaning the findings probably understate how much physical activity has been lost during work hours. While it has been known that Americans are most sedentary at work compared with the farming and manufacturing workers of 50 years ago, the new study is believed to be the first in which anyone has estimated how much daily caloric expenditure has been lost in the workplace. The condition in our country, India, also is not much different. It's a light bulb, aha moment, said Barbara E. Ainsworth, the president-elect of the American College of Sports Medicine and exercise researcher at Arizona State University. I think occupational activity is part of that missing puzzle that is so difficult to measure and is probably contributing to the inactivity and crippling obesity that we are seeing over time. For years, the role that physical activity has played in obesity problem has been uncertain. Numerous studies suggest there has been little change in the average amount of leisure time physical activity, posing a conundrum for researchers trying to explain the country's steady weight gain. As a result, much of the focus has been on the rise of fast food and soft drink consumption. U.S. withdraws diplomats from Yemen amid clashes. The U.S. has ordered all its non-essential diplomats and family members of embassy staff to leave Yemen as fighting there escalates. Medical sources say 72 people have been died in 3 days of clashes between tribal fighters and government troops. President Ali Abdullah Saleh has again said he will not step down and leave Yemen despite mounting protests. He has so far refused to sign a transition deal that would see him resign in favor of a unity government. The U.S. State Department has also warned Americans against traveling to Yemen. The security threat level in Yemen is extremely high due to terrorist activities and civil unrest. There is ongoing civil unrest throughout the country and a large-scale protest in major cities, said the State Department in a travel warning. The Department of State has ordered all eligible family members of the U.S. government employees as well as a certain non-emergency personnel to depart Yemen. U.S. citizens currently in Yemen should depart while commercial transportation is available. G8 Summit Arab uprisings set to dominate agenda. World leaders are set to gather in the French resort of Deauville for summit of the G8 bloc of wealthy nations. A shift in global influence of emerging powers such as India and China, who are not in the G8, has led to the group's relevance being questioned. But analysts say recent events such as uprising in the Arab world and Japan's nuclear crisis have given the group a new sense of purpose. Also on the agenda is how little or how much the internet should be regulated. A group of internet bosses, including Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg and Google boss Eric Schmidt, are heading the summit. Points of friction, the global economy and climate change will also be discussed at the two-day gathering for the leaders of the US, Russia, the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and Canada. U.S. President Barack Obama is en route to the meeting, having completed his state visit to the UK. He will later continue to Poland. Leaders from Tunisia and Egypt and the head of the Arab League will also be at Deauville for talks on massive aid plan to help their transition to democracy. U.S. to withdraw troops from Pakistan. The U.S. military has announced the withdrawal of a number of its troops from Pakistan. The Pentagon said it had received a request from Pakistani government to reduce its presence in the country. The request came after a raid by U.S. Special Forces killed Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden early in May. The U.S. troops has more than 200 troops in Pakistan helping to train the army, but there are said to be intelligence and special forces operating there. A spokesman at the Pentagon said that within the last 2 weeks, Pakistan had asked the American military to reduce its footprint, and the Americans were doing so, pulling out some troops. The numbers are quite small. It's not clear if any of the American intelligence and special operation forces that are said to be in Pakistan clandestinely are also being pulled out. Volatile relations, the request would appear to be a sign of Pakistan's discontent at the manner in which the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad was conducted without Islamabad's knowledge. Relations between Washington and Islamabad are always complex and fragile, but they are particularly volatile at the moment. In Washington, suspicion is rife that some in Pakistan knew of Osama bin Laden's hiding place, and there is grumbling about continued U.S. military aid. A trial underway in Chicago may shed light on relationship between Pakistani intelligence and violent extremist groups. And to top it off, Pakistan's Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani has just been to China, buying fighter jets and reaffirming a strategic alliance the U.S. finds troubling. Air ambulance crash kills 10 in Delhi. Authorities in India are investigating the crash of a small medical ambulance aircraft near the capital Delhi, which killed 10 people. The plane crashed on Wednesday night in a residential area in Faridabad town in the northern state of Haryana. The death included 7 people on board the aircraft and 3 women who were in the house on which the plane fell. The craft was flying a critically ill patient from the state of Bihar to a hospital in Delhi. Daughter of an Indian diplomat sues NYC for $1.5 million. An Indian diplomat's daughter is suing the New York City's government for $1.5 million after she was wrongfully arrested on suspicion of sending obscene emails. Kritika Vishwas was alleged to have sent the emails to her high school teacher in February. She was subsequently cleared of the offense. Her lawyer said she was unlawfully held by the U.S. authorities for more than 24 hours after her arrest. There has so far been no comment on her claim from the U.S. authorities. Ms. Vishwas, the daughter of the vice consul at the Indian consulate in Manhattan, claimed that she was ill-treated in prison and was forced to go to the toilet in front of other prisoners. Her lawyer, Rajiv Batra, said her arrest on 8 February was a violation of the international law, U.S. federal law, as well as U.S. state and city law. We'll move on to the business world. Tata Steel profits from higher prices and UK plant sale. Tata Steel has reported to return an annual profit thanks in part to higher steel prices and the sale of a UK plant. Net profit was 89.8 billion rupees, that is $2 billion, for the year to the end of March, compared with a loss of 20.1 billion rupees a year earlier. Profits were boosted by the sale of its Teesside plant for $561 million to Thailand SSI in March. Last week, Tata proposed cutting 1,500 jobs in the north of England. This includes 1,200 jobs in Sonthrop and 300 in Teesside at its loss-making Long Products division. However, the firm said it would invest £400 million in the division over the next 5 years to help turn it around. The company blamed cuts on the falling demand for steel. Revenue for the year to March climbed slightly to 1.17 trillion rupees. It was a good year as steel consumption in India rose, aided by strength in industrial activity, said Tata Steel's Managing Director H.M. Narurkar. Cole Yurish-Kohler, chief executive of the company's European operations, said higher selling prices deliveries gave U.S. strong end to the year with one-off benefits from completion of the Teesside sale. Tata is one of the biggest steel makers in the world with operations in 26 countries. Welcome to the world of science. Cosmic distance record broken. A cataclysmic explosion of a huge star near the edge of an observable universe may be the most distant single object yet spied by a telescope. Scientists believe the blast, which was detected by NASA's Swift Space Observatory, occurred a mere 520 million years after the Big Bang. This means the light has taken a staggering 13.14 million years to reach Earth. Details of the discovery will appear shortly in the Astrophysical Journal. The event, which was picked up by Swift in April 2009, is referred by astronomers using designation GRB 090429b. The GRB stands for Gamma Ray Burst, a sudden pulse of very high energy light that the telescope is tuned to find on the sky. These bursts are usually associated with extremely violent processes such as the end-of-life collapse of giant stars. And in sports, Maria Sharapova extends her reach. When Maria Sharapova won her first Grand Slam title in 2004, at the age of 17, she made the cover of Sports Illustrated. And do you think I knew what Sports Illustrated was? Ms. Sharapova said recently, recalling the moment when her agent, Mac Eisenberg, first showed her the magazine, expecting her to be as excited as he was. "I knew what Vogue was, but I didn't know what Sports Illustrated was." One does not become the highest paid female athlete in the world without recognizing that the greatest potential for earning comes not from winning championships but from endorsement deals, particularly the fashion and sportswear brands. Ms. Sharapova, now 24 years old and the 7th-ranked women's singles player, made $24.5 million from June 2009 to June 2010. According to Forbes, about $4 million more than her nearest competitor, Serena Williams. And before we close today's bulletin of news analysis, let's have a recap of the main points. Obama says the world needs US-British leadership. Israelis see Netanyahu trip as a diplomatic failure. Less active at work, Americans have packed on pounds. We Indians too. US withdraws diplomats from Yemen amid clashes. G8 summit, Arab uprisings set to dominate agenda. US to withdraw troops from Pakistan. And there we end today's bulletin of news analysis. Be with us in the coming weeks to thank you